All right. We're going to go over attaching two pieces of slab to create a hollowed out form, similar to some of them that were donut-esque, or some of you that are creating a wall piece. However, you might want it a little bit more three-dimensional rather than just on a flat sheet of clay. So that's what this demo is going to go over. I think I'm going to do a flower demo as well. I did one in my 4th block class, but I didn't film it, and I went into detail about a whole bunch of different ones. So I think I'll go over that a little bit today as well. This was what I had last time. This kind of, you know, we made these little barnacle pieces. I made this wood texture. I started with a leaf dish. I also used a coil underneath it. This is just some brown clay. To kind of like, you know, jazz it up a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting. I'm gonna put that off to the side, and like I said, I'm probably gonna start attaching all these different pieces I'm making. And we'll see what we get. I rolled out 2 sheets of clay. I just used a rolling pin. If you guys have a rolling pin at home, perfect. If you have anything, you know, cylindrical, that's a little bit sturdy, it should work to roll out your clay, and that should be fine. I know people have had, you know, quite a few different things they found around their house that could function as a rolling pin. I'm using a piece of canvas. I know I previously said this, but you can put down flour or cornstarch right on your kitchen counter or table, and the clay will not stick to that. It will act as a buffer. Cornstarch is actually a really good one, but I don't know how common that is to, you know, just have around the house. No matter what shape you want to make, whether it be more of like a donut form, or a just rounded form, or maybe you want to do an oval of some sort. Maybe I'll do an oval. That's what I'll do. You're going to want to make the pieces you cut out a lot bigger than you want your actual sculpture to look, because we're going to be folding it over, and some of it is going to make up the edges. So I'm just going to wing the first one. And if you guys have a very specific idea in mind, I would probably just cut out a little template. For this demonstration, I'm just gonna go in and make just a random shape. And you wanna make sure that you're cutting straight down. That kind of looks like an egg. So I have this shape here. You could use the extra clay for when we go ahead and attach them. I know that I'm going to want the same exact size. Now you guys can see this is very flat. It is three-dimensional, but it's still flat within the dimensions. I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna trace this one. Be nice and careful with it. Like I said, if you don't have a pin tool at home, paper clip will work, a plastic knife will work. Sometimes your wooden knife tool in your kit will work pretty well. You might just have to clean up the edges a little bit. But I'm making sure to go straight up and down with this. So the main idea with this is that we're going to build something like a little bit more bulbous. Pull these apart. And we're gonna use paper towel or newspaper. You could use newspaper to kind of stuff these in order to make it a rounded shape. First thing I like to do is kind of go in and very lightly pinch up the sides so that I'm already starting to form a shape. if the clay's super fresh, it might not hold as well. You might need to let it, dry out a little bit. But I guess it kind of like a pear shape. I'm gonna do the same exact thing to the other side. And I'm gonna make a hole in the center of this one, but I'll show you before I put it together how you can go ahead and, just attach them together without creating a donut form. And like I said, I'll post this if you need to go back to it. But now at least we got them bent a little bit. The next thing I'm gonna wanna do, this is gonna look like an avocado. Ooh, maybe I'll turn it into an avocado. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna determine what I want the size of the hole to be. You wanna make it smaller in the center than you actually want the inside of your sculpture to be. So I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna do the same exact thing, just kind of hold my hand steady. Pull out that piece and try to transfer it as even as I can. That looks pretty good. If you're going for something super geometric and you're doing this method, we're definitely gonna go in with like an X-Acto knife and really clean everything up. But being that these are abstract sculptures, it's okay. I'm then going to pinch in for this section. Because I'm going to want to push that in order to create the form. Now, if this was just a flat piece, I would just put paper towel around all of it. So it would cover like the whole edges, the whole inside, everything. I am using the paper towel as a way to form the clay. And I like to kind of go in, you want to really like line it up so that it's not going to touch anywhere that you're going to be smoothing your clay. I find like softer paper towels do work a little bit better, or if you want to wet your paper towels, that could work well too. So let me show you, the difference. You could see it'll stick to the clay a little bit better, but you're going to have to use more because they do kind of get a little flimsy. They're not as firm. But I'm just going to stuff along the edges. Hey.
Thanks for coming out last night. Appreciate that.
Yeah, it was nice. I'm filming a video, that's why I'm like, I'll edit it. It's fine. Thank you. All right, so once we stuff this entire thing, we'll have it firm enough to go in and start attaching these together. I'm also gonna wanna go in and pinch the hole of the donut going inward so that when we attach these, they have a really nice smooth blend. So I'm putting this over the top, and I'm gonna kind of stick my paper towels in. And you could see, how three-dimensional do you want to make this? If you want to make it a little bit more rounded, you're definitely going to want to let your clay dry out a little bit more so that you can work with it and it's not going to, be so malleable. And by dry out, I don't mean super dry, I just mean enough so that it's gonna hold shape. So I'm gonna just go in now and I'm gonna gradually stuff it with a little bit more towel wherever I feel might be necessary. Now, some of you guys might be like, well, Miss Clayton, it's gonna be flat. It's gonna be flat on the bottom. We're gonna worry about that after we pick it up. We're gonna kind of tap it into shape. Because we're creating all this extra. So I'm really bulking this up. And it's easy once it's together to determine where you need more paper towels. And to kind of push them in the area. Now the paper towels will burn out in the kiln. The only thing that you're gonna need is an air hole, but you would need one anyway because these are fully connected. It's a hollowed out form and we have to make a space for it to release the air. All right, I'm gonna do a few more, then I'm gonna call it so that I could go into the next little demo for the day. Now, in order to not make the bottom part so flat, what I like to do is kind of leave this rounded as I use the paper towels to push it up. Then I'm going to meet the underneath part with it. So I'm kind of like pinching up from the bottom to put them together. So you could see by pushing that up, it's already going to create more of a rounded side. And I like to get it all sealed up first. Be careful that there's no paper towels sticking out because that's gonna burn and then you'll have like a little hole in your project there. But this is really great for being able to build up a really nice structure for your form, especially when you're working like very large scale. But I'm really, scooping this up. And I know a few of you guys had a sketch similar to this. You had different things kind of coming off of it. Donut teapots are actually very, very popular in contemporary art right now. But they're usually thrown on the wheel and then the two pieces are attached. So you can see because I am smoothing up from the bottom, it's gonna give me that shape on both sides. You can add more paper towels if you want to, if you want your ring to be a little bit thicker. I'm just gonna go from here because I don't wanna keep going on in and have this demo take longer than we need it to be. I think you guys will get the idea as you start to form your own. Now it's not gonna look super neat at first. You're gonna have to go in and smooth it up, but I'm just trying to get the whole thing attached. And I'm kind of loving that this does look like an avocado. Now, because we are having a ring type shape, you guys are not going to want to use so much of the clay to smooth it if you have any seams or creases after the initial attachment. Therefore, I'm going to have you guys to go in with really, really fresh, soft pieces of clay in order to cover those seams. So that's my outside. The next part is my inside. And I am going to once again use the center. You can see it's a little open. And I'm going to pinch this, smooth it going up. So I have everything from my original pieces set to be smoothed up. This video is gonna have so much noise in it. Now I don't know if I'm gonna edit it. What are they doing? Robots? Well, that sure is something. All right, so now I have this hollowed out form. It's looking a little rough. It's definitely gonna need some smoothing because those are all finger marks in there, but you could kind of like tap it into place if you want to, especially if you have a solid ring piece. And what I mean by adding little bits of clay is just taking a little bit, and I can see that I have a seam over here, but I don't want to mess with the integrity of the sculpture. So I'm gonna smooth some fresh clay over there, and it's gonna seal up everything. I feel like you're probably gonna run into the most problems on the inside. So you'll probably have to attach a little extra clay and then gradually smooth the inside a little bit better, because you don't have as much freedom as you did connecting the outsides. So I might even just add like a little coil piece into here and then smooth it in. Now, another thing to think about if you're making a form like this is, how do I want it to be displayed? Do I want it to stand? If that's the case, you may want to consider, tapping it. You may want to consider making a little stand for it to rest on. You may want to decide, all right, well, I really want to display this on a table. So I am going to leave it flat like that, and I may want to lift it up a little bit with some type of organic form. I might want to just leave it on the table and have different things, growing out parts of it. And I think that's what one of you guys had in your sketches, and I think I have another donut-esque shape over at Memorial, I think. So this would go for anything. This would go for if you are making, I don't know, I'm just gonna put it out there like the face of a sunshine or something. I've had a student do that in the past. But you wanna make sure that it is three-dimensional because ceramics is three-dimensional. It's sculptural. So rather than, getting a drawing, you're gonna wanna actually build the form. I probably could have put a little bit more paper towel in here, but that is okay. Now, part of me was wondering if I should incorporate it into this at all, but I'm not sure. I might leave this and put other demo pieces on it and start building up little floral designs. But you could kind of piece together things. Sculptures can be kind of crazy, kind of different. I just feel like with the size of these, they're so similar that it might be best to create two sculptures side by side. So I'm gonna leave this little guy that I started, and I am going to later this afternoon go over how to create different sea textures, seaweed, like little like coral pieces. I have a whole bunch of little different sea type things I'm gonna go over. I'm also gonna go over texture using slip. So that'll be in my next video. For this video, I'm gonna kind of leave it off with this ring. Make sure you smooth it up really well. Your metal rib tool may be your best friend when doing this, or just smoothing with your hands, because your rib does tend to sometimes take a little bit of that extra clay off, and with this you might not want that. So I would use it very, very delicately if you are going to incorporate this tool into forming your sculpture. If this is the primary part of your project or your base, I would continue to work on this. Like I said, you could make any shape you want to. If you're gonna make like a perfect circle, I would trace something and then we could go from there with it. The only thing I want to bring to your attention is if you are not cutting holes in it or anything like that, you're gonna wanna make sure that you make a little pinhole, because if the air can't escape, it's just gonna blow up, and we don't want that to happen. So I usually like to put it somewhere discreetly. I think I'm going to attach like a whole bunch of flowers onto here, so I might put it in between one of the flowers, but just in case you don't watch that video, just go in somewhere discreetly, make sure you put a hole, just a little tiny hole like that. That's all you need, all right? So that is how to create a more rounded form. And you guys can let me know if you have any questions on this.